Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Grown Man Clash right here, and tonight or today, depending on which part of the world you're in, I'm going to talk about a topic that everybody knows about or everybody heard about, and my topic is going to be about the cops. Some of you are probably saying like, "Well, finally, you're talking about cops, bro? Talking about cops clash. What took you so long?" Or some of you just saying like, "Oh God, here we go again, another slandering about the cops." And no, it's not about slandering about the cops, because I know for a fact there are, cops that do their job. There are cops, they make sure that the laws are right there being practiced. They're making sure that the laws are not being broken. They're making sure that certain people are not getting hurt. They're making sure that certain people are upholding and making sure like certain acts are being enacted. And the fact that some of them are actually overall fun loving and understanding, and the fact that some of them, they're not bad folks, they're not even bad people. And I know that, and I know that for a fact. Everybody's good, everybody's evil. Nobody's on a set verse for like straight paths for evil or straight paths for good. Same for the cops. Few politicians, like a very significant few politicians, they care about the people. But within every good, sometimes the bad overshadows the good. And you know what they say, about good people doing nothing when evil's around. You actually partake in it indirectly. And if you see evil and you don't do anything, then you are cooperating with it, like it or not. And what does this quote have to do with the cops and overall everything else in society? See, look, when I talk about the cops, don't worry. Like I said before, I know there are good cops. I know there are cops, that uphold the law. But mainly, we see nothing more than just fat cops. Cops that are just walking around, shooting dogs, shooting black people, especially us, especially black folks of African descent. And yeah, people get up in arms about a dog, but yeah, they don't care about us. And it gets real tiring when you hear about black lives being tossed around like it's trash, like our lives are trash. And then you value a dog's life, and that's nothing. You don't care about a woman's life, but yet a woman gave you life. She held you in her womb. And it becomes real sad, because you gotta think about the whole structure in the mind of a cop. See, look, when I did my history and I looked at some comparisons and all that stuff, you realize that the original cops were actually runaway slave patrol. Yes, if you actually look at the original badges that occurred with runaway slave patrol, and you see them and you compare it to like a sheriff's badge or a cop's badge, you realize that they they are scarily similar. Well, during that time, back now they have it like in a way looking like a shield, but back then it was like a 6 point star. Something that looks like something that could be compared to like the Star of David. And think about the GTA stars that you see every time when you kill somebody or something like that. In GTA, you see like these 6 point stars. That's the type of badge that they had back then, Runaway Slave Patrol. And guess who was Runaway Slave Patrol, after it? And yes, I know some people will argue that, yes, there were white slaves, but, they were treated considerably better than us. And considering the fact that, they were also, like, I'm just going to keep it real, I'm going to keep it off, I'm going to keep it right. They were treated better off than us, and the fact that you have to remember, American slavery was considerably even worse due to the fact that it was based off of race, not based off of merit, not based off of, anything else. But, and even then, there was still no mobility that happened, unlike Arabic slavery. Like, yeah, Arabic people did in fact enslave black people. Let's not forget about that either. That's the reason why I was a bit hesitant in talking about that too, because there's some Arabic people that probably watch this and say like, that's not true. Let's not talk about that. We didn't do anything to you. But here's the thing: the reason why we were a bit more, how should I say, a bit more lenient on that. I know I'm going off on a side tangent, off on a tangent. Is because we were more embracing of it. You know, even though back then, monotheism didn't come from Christianity, Islam, and it, and Judaism, even though they were the big three. But at the same time, you have to remember there was also, I know I'm talking about religion, but there was also, I believe there was also a reason why. Yeah, it was an Egyptian pharaoh. He thought it would be a great idea to combine all the gods into one, and that was not only, no, it wasn't Ra, it was Amon. Yeah, Amon Ra. Well, aside from that little either misstep in like religion, back onto the cops. Now, when you look at the history of the cops and you compare them back to like runaway slave patrol and how their job was to make sure that runaway slaves would not either misbehave or go back to their plantations so they could be punished. And now you may say like slavery days are over. That's what some of you are saying. I can hear that a bit. And some of you may say like, wait a minute, now what are you talking about? Comparing black people to slaves. Didn't you do that in your take, your video called My Take on Black People? And yes, I admit that. I did talk about that briefly, but at the same time, I'm going to talk about it a bit because it connects here and there. Because if you think about it, like, what do they essentially think of us? And especially when you look at TV, you look on, the internet sometimes, and you look at, these so-called ratchet videos, of our women gyrating and shaking their asses and all that crap. Yeah, even little ones, not little baby girls, but, little baby black boys talking about, yeah, get over here, trick, get over here, hoe, get over here. And they're emulating shit that they see off of TV, that bullshit. Don't follow that. That's bullshit. And they're watching this bullshit along with us. And it's real sad that even when we try to deviate from that, we still try to watch some crap on the side, trying to make sure coonery gets out of play. And you may ask, like, what does all this have to do with the black, psyche, and how does all this tie in with cops? Well then, you know how the way the original narrative for a black person is, regardless of gender, race, they typically thought of us as inferior in terms of thinking. They thought of us as inferior in terms of like action. They thought of us as nothing more than just babies or people who lost their way, savages, people who are uncivilized. So they justified any type of way to make sure we stayed enslaved so we could be civilized. Now, fast forward to today. Now, you may think like, oh, that's over and done with. That's history. Well, let me tell you something. People who tend to ignore history or tend to look at history and just say, the history's for squares, let's not ignore it. Or people who pay attention to history, they're nerds. People who pay attention to history will often say if you don't take history very seriously, you oftentimes repeat it. Or if you ignore history completely, you're going to repeat it until you learn the lesson. And you want to know what the real sad part is? It's the fact that, the justification of killing young black men, there was also Tamar Rice. He was killed, he was 12 years old when he was killed. I understand that he had like a fake BB gun, waving it around. What should have been like the first thought? He should have been, the cop should have just said, hey, excuse me, young man, put the gun down. Put the gun down. He should have said it in a calm manner. If the young man didn't put the gun down, he would say, hey, I got a real gun, and I will shoot you if you don't put the gun down. And, he would put the gun down. He said, good. Let me see. He'll take the BB gun. And if he says, oh, it's just a BB gun, be careful with this thing, all right? But I have to confiscate it because you could hurt somebody with it. That would have been the logical choice. But no. Guess what he did? Pow, 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 pow. Shot him. Without even saying, like, oh, Tamar Rice was just, a 12-year-old kid talking about he looked like a 20-year-old man getting ready to attack me. I'm just like, wait, whoa. So you just gunned him down like that. And then you had, video evidence of Eric Garner getting choked out. And they claim that he was selling untaxed cigarettes, all that crap. I believe that's just a bunch of bullshit to me because they're trying to justify a reason why they're taking him down. But even he said, he can't breathe. You have to sympathize with him because if you hear a man that actually has asthma and he's saying he can't breathe, and you're hearing that, and you're just like, wait a minute, let him go. And so what? And it's just like, wait a minute, you're not going to let a man go? And then what happened to Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin? And then, what happened with Michael Brown with Darren Wilson? And Holloway in 3 of these accounts, with Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, 3 of the officers, well, except for like George Zimmerman, he was an officer, but he was a part of the neighborhood watch. All 3 of them were not indicted. Well, that caused a bit of a stir. Well, it showed, but the cops, what my take on the cops are? See, look, they're disciplined, but at the same time, they are being trained for a wrong cause. Like the old case, rebel without a cause. That's what the cops are, except they are just drones without a cause. They don't have a cause at all. Even the good ones, even the ones that know, even the ones that try to tell, the young folks, stay away from that because, don't become a cop. I mean, what's the point? You're going to get hurt. Like, stay away from it. But then, they don't want to talk. If they do speak up about it, Highway, there are also cops that talk about this kind of, that cops, Hathaway in the black community, we have, things about, snitching and all that stuff. In their community, they also have things like that. If a cop snitches on another cop, they will get him, and then he'll be fired. And then afterwards, who knows? Maybe he might have gotten killed, or she might have gotten killed. And if a cop really does do what is necessary to make sure the laws uphold instead of trying to patrol and control, you'll realize that, hey, the real cops that are doing real good jobs, they're the ones that either not getting the recognition or they're the ones that's not meeting like a certain quota. Here's the thing, cops gotta meet like a certain quota of arrests. That's why the whole stop and frisk thing, when they talk about it, it's really racially biased because, there's a stereotype about, about black people, Latino people, mainly us because, we're the ones that are mostly shown on TV in a negative light. And for that to happen, and you notice that it's mostly in neighborhoods that are either low in income and, high risk and so-called crime. Yet, ironically enough, when I walk around here, cops are not really patrolling areas. I don't really see any crime. In fact, some people feel as if, like, wait a minute, there's no crime going on, but why do I feel like a sense of danger? It's not because of a group of black teens that you see right over there. It's because you might see, like, say if some shit goes down, it might actually be the cops. And don't worry, like I said before, some cops, they're not bad. Like people, they're not bad. I know that for a fact. Not because I'm a cop. No. It's because I know everybody has like everybody has a dualistic nature. Everyone has a good side, everyone has a bad side. But people tend to lean towards one side over the other, either due to an incentive or due to moral reasons. But now, how does all this tie in with the cops? Because you have to remember, because the cops, in essence, like I talked about it before, and one other notable example is, with what happened with Mayor De Blasio, and when he talked about how the way he fears for his son, Dante, and if I'm correct, that's his name, Dante, and how the way he mentioned before, how the way, if you look at Bill De Blasio's son, he has a black family, he has, a black daughter, a black son, and a black wife, and they all live lovely. He's a caring family man who said, wait a minute, even though I'm a mayor, I'm also a father too. Hey, look, I understand I have to keep up an image, but if I want to do right, I have to tell it how it is. And he talked about not only, the lives of the police officers that were lost, I think like a month or two after the whole thing with Tamar Rice, or with, Eric Garner, then, talking about that, and then, he talked about how the way he had to fear for his son's life, because he doesn't even know who could be, wrestling him, Dante, wrestling, his son. And then talking about that, it really touched me. But then seeing the cops reacting like, man, you a traitor. Man, nobody wants to listen to you. You're the worst mayor ever. Let me tell you something. If you got a mayor that's willing to talk about this topic that's been going on for how many years? Not even years, decades, even centuries. Probably 2 or 3 centuries to be more exact. Because if I'm correct, because this is going to be this, like in a few more decades, this is going to be the 600th year since America was so-called discovered by Christopher Columbus, even though there was America Vespucci. And there were like some other theories talking about how there were also other people, there were also Chinese people that came over to America, even African people came over to America. That's what some people say. But, off of that topic, cops, like I said before, don't get me wrong, I know there are a few of them that are good, but let's be real here. I'm not talking about the individuals. Even though I acknowledge that I'm going to talk about the collective, and the collective of them, they're utter trash. Like, looking at cops and how the way they kill black lives as if, like, yeah, freeze, and then they just shoot them down without even saying freeze. And then either plant evidence on them trying to say, like, wait a minute, yeah, he had a gun. And people have video camera right then and there talking about it. And saying, like, wait a minute, because we have evidence that suggests otherwise. And just like what happened with the Central Park 5. And how the way, they were going home. And they having to witness a fight, having to witness, a homeless man getting beat up. And then hearing about a raping. And then these cops coerced them and, intimidated them into saying certain things. Yet, the real rapist and murderer, no, not murderer because the woman was still alive. The real rapist was out there going free. And then to have their lives from being 16 or 17 or 18 up there into like adulthood, having their lives ruined. Basically over the fact that the cops didn't want to do a proper investigation. They just want to meet a certain quota. They just want money, basically. They didn't look at lives. They didn't look at what's right. They didn't look at what's obviously gonna do right by the community. Because if they did, the real murderers would be locked up. Not just people who are on trumped up charges. Think about it. Like, really, just do your research, man. Sometimes I do my research. And I did my research on this one, and I'm just looking at it like, yo, you want to talk about why Black Lives Matter? Let me tell you why they matter. Because Black Lives Matter because, remember this, black people are the original people on Earth. Black people managed, even though you may say it or not believe it, black people actually managed to build the economy of America. Black people, originate from a land that has the richest resources that's currently being plundered, and the fact that Black lives also have, unique DNA that not many other people have. But at the same time, you also got to look at the fact that, when you look at the cops and you look at the history, and even go back then, right down to the 1950s and 60s where they sick dogs and water hoses on us. I know that's the South, and I'm talking about present day New York, and there was, but yeah, the Michael Brown situation was also, South. But then, talking about that and how they're trying to slander an image that's already been slandered through lies. And then, you got the civil rights era where, you got Black people's lives that were marching, being peaceful, talking about peace, love, and equality. And then getting sicked on with dogs by the very same people that's supposed to uphold the law. And then getting water hoses sicked on by the very same people that's supposed to put out fires. Yeah, firemen. And I look at the history of the police, and I look at, what they did, and how the way, even in peaceful protests, they find a way to get violent. Even in a way of looking at things, and how the way they turn their backs on the cries of a mother, and even beat up a mother on a fucking highway, like this, on a fucking interstellar, no, not interstellar, interstate highway, and all that crap, and you just think like, wow. So you mean to tell me that you literally beat up somebody? You beat up a mother, and you even beat up pregnant women. You beat up women in general. That shows how low down and cowardice they are. And I know, like some of you are gonna say, not all cops are like that. Clash. Not all cops are like that. I know. But if you want to be real here, the majority of them are. And I know there are a few of them that actually do the crimes. But the fact that the ones that actually don't do anything and yet they want to get paid, they are actually partaking in the evil that their, so-called good comrades are doing, and not saying anything about it. And those that actually do say something about it either get fired, either get scrutinized, again, just blatantly just ignored. And then looking at that, and then you realize, like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that even if you are a cop, you'll still be discriminated by your own team? And I say, yeah. That's just a sad reality, because, there are people who are off-duty cops that actually get discriminated against by their own, teammates. And it's real funny when your own teammates discriminate against you and yet don't even know that you are a cop. And then they get like a taste of it, and then they just say, wait a minute, is this the same group of people that I actually work with? And then they just shake their heads. And then looking at, cops killing people, that's sad too. And then you realize that they're doing it for money. They're doing it, just to make sure that their families are safe. In the end, I think some of them actually do regret doing what they're doing because they have to do it for money. And, I understand that you have to, make sure your family's fed, make sure you have a roof over your head, and all that stuff. But, in essence, if you have to harm lives, and you have to say that you uphold the law by harming lives, by going after innocent little children, by shooting children, by shooting, pregnant women or hurting pregnant women, harming Black lives, and then, talking about that, and then you have to deal with this heavy burden in your head that will make you think like, wait a minute, what am I doing? if you go through that, then I say at least you still got a shred of humanity inside of you. But if you don't, and you say, "Oh shit, I'm just getting paid," then I say, "Well, fuck you. Yeah, this is a personal fuck you from me." Broman Clash. And now some of you may say, like, I'm slandering the cops. Let me tell you something. I mean, cops have been slandering themselves for a long time. It's just that it's been recently coming back up to surface. And if you haven't been paying attention to your history, then, and if you've been paying attention, you wouldn't be surprised. But if you haven't, then all I gotta say is this, read your history, look at your history. Matter of fact, look at our story. Look at what happened to us. And then you realize, like, this was all engineered for all this to happen. This was all engineered for us to fail. It was all engineered for us to, to go down in smoke. And in essence, I look at the cops, I say that, wait a minute, I fear the cops more. You know what? I'm just more cautious of the cops, just to be more honest. I'm more cautious of them than I am of my own people. And sad enough, when I look at my own people, we are cautious of each other, but yet we're not cautious of, the enemy that's right in front of us. Yet we want to claim to be peaceful. Can't do that. And then, looking at the cops, they're looking at like a set image of us. They're not looking at individuals. They're not looking at the fact that, wait a minute, he looks like a good man, so let him be. She looks like a good, young woman, let her be. Okay, I see trouble because I see a gun. Let's get him. But yeah, just be cautious of him. I'll be like, hey, come in. We want to talk to you for a second. If you can do that in a calm and cool manner instead of like going off on berserker mode, talking about, yeah, we're gonna go shoot some people, as if you're nothing but rowdy cowboys. Because if I see you with a cowboy hat talking about, yeah, I'm gonna look at you like this. Ah, crap. Because as soon as I hear that, yeah, I'm thinking, oh, either, the old saying goes, blue by day and white by night. Just be careful because there might be a noose nearby and a tree. And with that, YouTube, this is Broman Clash saying out one at one. And if you agree with what I said, say that you agree. If you disagree, then, respectfully say why you disagree. And also respectfully say why you agree. Like, share, or dislike, share. Subscribe if you want to. And this is Broman Clash saying out one at one, saying, later.